Brands and content have been intertwined since the early days of television. Every brand wants to be associated with great television or film content. Through brand partnerships, they aim to reach more consumers, making brand integration a key component of content creation today. My name is Abid, and this is What's Doing. It has taken a bold leader to break traditional marketing norms and fully commit to a bigger consumer picture. And in Malaysia, that leader is none other than Santharuban Sundaram, also known as Ruben, the CEO of Ethica Group of Companies, which represents the Pepsi-Cola brand and a wide range of beverages under it. That's a lot of beverages. Welcome, Ruben, to What's Doing, and thank you so much for taking time out.
Yeah, Abid, thank you very much for having me. Thanks a lot.
So you were part of the whole, broadcast brand business early in your career. And how has that brand journey been so far to this day?
Well, it's been an advantage, I would think. One is so I spent a year and a half in radio. In fact, I started off as part of the cruisers back in the days, and almost 4 years with TV, and about 2 years with print. And if I go back to my TV days, I loved it. In fact, I never imagined the day would come where I would actually leave and not work for TV anymore. I loved it so much. But working in a media broadcasting center gives you first-hand experience into content creation, advertising, the entire nuances about how reach is being measured. And at the same time, when I moved into my new role, it actually helped me a lot with negotiations. Yeah.
That'd be really fun to do.
Yeah.
So, right now, globally, brands, and consumers and audiences, at home have evolved. And how have you navigated these changes? And knowing that you have worked on all the platforms which you just mentioned, how have you those roads?
It is very true that advertising, if I just go into advertising, it is very cheap today, and anyone could advertise, right? And technology and social media and the internet has made that very possible. So the entry, being an entrant, it is very cheap. Dominance, however, has become very expensive. Right? So all these medias that used to dominate back in the days, print they used to print 300,000-400,000 print copies a day. So if you had just one front ad, you've dominated. People would know who you are overnight. When I was in school, there used to be only 3-4 TV stations. And at prime time, the next day, all of us would talk about the same movie. We could actually compare notes. This is not possible anymore today, right? So cost of dominance has gone up, and hence more and more people have gone to work with content creators. The thing with brand is, and I say this with a lot of conviction, consumers don't really care about the new product launch. They don't care about something they don't know. And most people are waiting to just skip advertisements, right? So brands are now coming up with something people don't really care about or don't know about, and placing them in places where people don't want, which makes it very challenging, right? So it is imperative, and the way forward, it has always been the case, but the real way forward today is to work with content.
Why have brands stopped producing that whole $1 million advertisement over the last decade?
Okay, so for starters, getting that reach is a lot cheaper with a KOL. Now, for example, if I worked with a KOL that has the reach and is able to produce content that their followers want. So for starters, this KOL has, say, X million of followers that are attracted to them, that want to know what they're doing. And if they have the ability to create, now not all KOLs or not all content creators can work hand in hand, right? So some KOLs are content creators themselves. So it is a lot cheaper to do, to create content, and in fact, I would say reach these audiences through a KOL. So that has actually dropped a little bit. Secondly, most broadcasters don't hold the same amount of audiences that they used to, right? So that entire formula of creating an advertisement and placing it on a particular TV channel may not necessarily work anymore. So brands, of course, have evolved and start looking for different avenues to do that.
The eyeballs have shifted.
Of course.
With that, with that attention span.
Absolutely.
With half an hour show, 1 hour show, now people just want to see it in 60 seconds.
Exactly.
So I think that's why what you're seeing here.
And you would also know that, majority of the audiences are watching more than one screen at a time.
Yeah.
That's right. So if you're watching a TV show and you're holding your phone, when an ad plays, it is very likely that you're doing something else. Yeah. So the effectiveness of the ad, regardless of how strong that reach is highly questionable.
And that's a great thing which you picked up, because one of my friends works overseas, and he was pitching to some network, and the network asked him that, why is the story not for the second screen? He said, "What do you mean?" And you have to bring in the dull moments so that they can go on to the second screen.
Right.
Because they are sure that audiences are now watching stuff on the second screen rather than just watching stuff on TV.
Mhm.
So I think now, even from content creation perspective, people are creating content so that audiences are watching not only on the TV set but on
Correct. That's correct. Absolutely. Now, in fact, even I've seen this even in a cinema, and despite the light being,
I hate that.
yeah, and people do that, right? So despite paying for a ticket at a premium in some cases and going in to watch a movie, the moment there is that dull moment, they very quickly shift and start consuming something else.
Which medium do you think is the best for reaching consumers today, and why?
Well, I would say the number one medium is word of mouth. Now, of course, that is the best medium. Word of mouth it will always be the best medium, but achieving word of mouth is not so easy. Right? In terms of traditional or digital media, of course, digital would still be the best. But I think what's important is the format. Let's take a step away from the medium. Digital media allows a lot of interaction, allows greater measurement, that's for sure. But I think the right content placed in the right medium works better than being too particular about what medium it is actually.
So earlier this year, you basically go by internet, I would say, when you announce your Ethica holding, doing a tie-up with Tron Mail. What was the whole idea behind? What was the whole what was the strategy behind collaborating with a film which is going to be released next year, right?
To tell you how it started, I was at an event. So there was no plan of sponsoring a movie. In fact, the product did not even exist, right? I was at an event and I incidentally sat next to the head of AstroShot, Justina. Right? And in that conversation, there was a question, what do you think about movie advertising? I said, it's a very good idea. And why haven't you guys done it? I always felt that the reason why it never works is the brands that are going in are very particular about how it needs to be depicted in the movie. So you're wanting to be in a movie and you want a consumption shot. You want the can to take up 5 seconds of the movie, which is going to ruin the entire movie flow.
Yeah.
But brands don't care about that. From the production house's standpoint, they actually want the money, but they're not sincerely wanting to promote the brand. So there is this gap there. And of course, the question was, look, what if we were able to cross, to actually narrow that bridge? I said, I'm very happy to experiment. And then we started this discussion on Crow and Man. And as I looked into it, we thought, wow, okay, so there is an opportunity to create a new product. So very quickly, we started developing the new product. And we realized there is a far bigger opportunity on trying to bring down advertising and promotional costs. Now, so the rule here is pretty simple. Media houses come up with content. So they know they are the ones that are actually hitting consumers because they're coming up with content that consumers want to watch, at least what they think consumers want to watch. Now, brands create advertisements and latch on to content that people want to watch. So we are actually putting things that people may not want at a time and attaching it to a content that people want to watch. Now, being together with the content or trying to integrate with the content is actually the best formula. Now, also to take into consideration, they would have spent X amount of money just to market the content. Now, what if we could actually ride on that marketing? It actually brings down our costs significantly lower. So we created a product and we took on the responsibility of marketing the movie well ahead of the movie release and also riding on some of the marketing initiative Astro has had in place. Okay? So what has come out of it? First thing is we gave the movie director full autonomy on the product placement, no questions asked, right? And I think that is important because we were not so fussed out about how much appearance. So the movie is going to be on cinema. It's going to run a month, 2 month max. That's about it. And how much is that? That 30 seconds or 40 seconds in the movie going to be worth? We were a lot more focused on the pre-promotions of what would come out of the movie. So if you look at what's happening today, we've got a product on Clone Man out. The billboards are ours, and if you look at it from a smart partnership standpoint, Astro has also benefited because we've begun to promote a movie that they wouldn't have normally started promoting almost a year in advance, creating that certain anticipation. So I feel that in this particular instance, it is already successful because we're doing pretty well on sales as well.
And like you said, word of mouth is like everywhere. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone is buying your can.
Also because of Clone.
Yeah, so they want to have that
Absolutely.
brand, and I think that is one of the smartest things which in marketing which has been done in the recent years. Because I think it was very well thought, very well executed. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Is the food business the next frontier for brand advertising?
I wouldn't necessarily say next frontier, but if you ask me today, I would think it is an unexplored territory, right? A lot of brands, Malaysia particularly, we've not done a lot in capitalizing on local movies. So if you've seen some movies, especially Hollywood movies, right? James Bond movies. I mean, they've subtly introduced cars in that movie. Marvel, Iron Man and the Audi R8. Very subtle advertising, but powerful advertising. The Bollywood and the Tamil movie industry, they've also done pretty well.
Yeah.
In fact, some of the recent movies, the way they've just laced in product branding, very smart to the scene and to the storytelling.
Like there's a new Spider-Man movie which had tomato on top of the building. And they're very subtly
Very subtle but very powerful.
very powerful.
And then what these brands can do, because we're just watching, we were watching, the branding in the movie. The brands are now able to actually cut these scenes and create commercials on their own without needing to actually create a commercial. So I would think that it is an uncharted territory, and with a lot of opportunity that's lying.
Well, that's great to hear, because again that's one section of content which has not been touched, means in the right way, means like you said earlier that 5-second shot and just for the heck of putting a brand place, it just ruins the work.
Precisely.
So I think we're smartly done, and the right people sitting down and talking about it and getting it done. I think that's the way forward. And I think I'm very excited about that, because I'm also very excited about Clone Man, because that is something which is going to be the next level.
Absolutely. We worked with Astro on 2 movies this year so far, and we've just commissioned one more for cinema release next year. So the Clone Man was one, and then we worked with Astro on the experts, and so the way we worked was different. Clone Man is way before the movie was even produced or shot. The experts was after the content was already, the movie was done. It was about to be released, and that's when we went in. And so it was possible to work together on that. And now we are, producing a movie completely from scratch, commissioned by us 100%, and it's slated for cinema release next year.
Let's talk more about that later. There's a time when every brand wanted branded content on TV. I mean, we also used to do a lot of brand content. Stuff for Pepsi also in the past. We want to know what happened. Why there's no more branded content happening on television anymore? Because suddenly, there was a time when they were doing TV shows, cooking shows, and but now it's just that we could hardly see any branded content being made on TV. What went wrong? What happened?
I think the formula has changed. So again, if I were to go back 15, 20 years ago, being on TV is something every brand would envision. You want to be on TV, right? Then comes the cost of creating an ad. It was significantly more expensive then. So media or broadcasters came out with this solution and said branded content. I would just cut a few scenes from my content, just shoot a product, and then I would be able to slice it in. And here you have a branded content, which works for our promotion. And we've created something for you, and your cost of advertising becomes cheaper. So a lot of brands begin to gravitate towards branded content. Now, audiences at that time didn't have a choice. They would watch whatever that's on TV, not because of desire, they just didn't have a choice. What has happened now is with the evolution of technology, cost of production has also come down significantly. So that's one. Second, broadcasters themselves can't sustain audience on their own content. So branded content now is no longer as powerful as it used to be because it's lost its cost advantage and they don't hold eyeball anymore. So it has become something that's quite irrelevant. You don't need to do that anymore, actually.
No, that's completely makes sense.
Yeah, and influencers have now become the new branded content.
True. And that has changed because of this happened basically pre-pandemic. Started slowing down from and after we came out of pandemic, it has like the numbers have really gone up. Sorry, what you're saying makes more sense now that they're getting more eyeballs with the influencers and KOLs than what we were getting before.
And everybody wants to be a KOL. So the number of KOLs keep increasing, right?
So from micro to macro influencers, now even a 5,000 follower will have some brand be doing on. Correct. So the other time when Michael Jackson and Beyonce used to promote Pepsi and everybody used to be so amazed. Will that phenomena again will happen with the brand like Pepsi or the brand content where big stars are going to be involved with the brand? Because that has slowed down a lot or can't be seen anymore. Because what do you think? Will that phenomenon come back?
Yeah, I think, brands would continue working with stars. That's not going to stop. But for starters, there will never be another Michael Jackson. Okay, and I say this with this, right? Population has gone up. The ability to reach consumers are a lot easier. There's a lot of media touch points, but there will never be another Michael Jackson. Simply because he lived in an age of dominance. And he could, the shelf life of an artist is also much longer than it ever was compared to what it is now, right? So, firstly, there will be another Michael Jackson, and every time a superstar emerges, another one will appear, and people will have different opinion, and they would split camps, right? So that happens even in the movie industry. So for starters, that doesn't happen. Number one. Second, it is actually harder to control artists these days, right? And they just need to do certain things. Look at Kanye West, how big he was, right? And just lost all his endorsement deals overnight. And you've seen Will Smith as well. So, and these are you're talking about really highly rated celebrities, and as far as their fame is concerned. So there's also a little bit of a setback in doing that. So it also gets a lot cheaper, working with 200 influencers and working with one really big one as well. So the power of this it is there, but I think it will not be as significant as it was before. Sports, however, is a bit different. So you still see a lot of brands working with sports personalities because they ride on skill, and there is only one Messi, there is only one Ronaldo, and it is very easy to measure who is the best actually in certain sports. So sports, I think that's going to be around for a while.
Social media has been, boon for advertisers, offering more reach for less, like what you're talking about, less investment. How has that been beneficial for the brands as such?
It is highly beneficial, but I would, from a ratio standpoint, I think it benefits smaller brands a lot more than bigger brands because smaller brands would not have been able to advertise or reach eyeballs to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So if you're talking about from nothing to something significant. Now, from very large brands, yes, social media is great, but you've got a lot of these small brands competing with the same eyeball. Now, think about it. If I'm browsing my Instagram, for instance, I would look at what you've posted, what everybody has posted. So my friends now have taken up airtime.
Yeah.
Right? So my attention, the time that I have, which is 24 hours, is now being spent on looking at what my friends have posted. So imagine how many brands are there, and how much of content could I actually absorb from brands? And most of the time, when you see an ad, you just swipe away. So it is a lot challenging. So for larger brands, yeah, there are some advantages, but I think it is a lot more beneficial to the small brands. They reap, they milk the most out of it.
What are the consumer touch points for content these days? And how's the ethical group is reaching the maximum amount of consumer on a daily basis?
Okay, I think first thing is to be real. We first accept the fact that people don't want to watch advertisement, but we do advertise, but we know that that's not going to be the most effective way. Second, to accept the fact that people have shorter attention span. Okay, if you look at successful advertisement, like what you would find during Hari Raya, I like what RHB did last year, okay? But there was no bank in it. They sold nothing about their services in it. Now, there was fantastic storytelling, but not much of their brand or product or services. Yep, they're building brand, sure, but products or services were not injected in it. And if you had done that, the story may not be as attractive as it was. The challenge here is the ability to marry the two. How do you seamlessly place brand or services into that content without the consumer really realizing you've done that? That really is the challenge. And if we are able to achieve that, I think short form, long form, and digital is fantastic. TV still works, especially for live program, and movie, of course. Movie and the cinema still works. I mean, cinema is not as good as it used to be, but one thing's for certain is you have captive audience, with an attention for a certain period of time, which you may not necessarily get in any other medium.
So how is the ethical group changing the brand association? Yeah, Miss Kolam Man is one. But what else is planned to increase relevance?
So we have changed our approach a fair bit. So if you look at this year, almost, I would safely say almost all of Wanda's commercial was shot by Astro Show, which is very different from last year. No creative agency involved, no production house involved, nothing. Everything for Wanda especially, because the focus was Cruel Men, and Astro Show shot even our commercials. So you'd see the TVC running, I mean the teaser running, and there's a few more TVCs, everything shot. So that's first. So there is actually a bit of a change in the way we are working and how we are commissioning content. So I mean, the TVC to us is our content, right? And how that's being commissioned, for starters. Second, the whole idea about let's look for 10 power content and slot our advertisement within this content, that has changed. We start looking for one strong content, one big content, which my going in position is I want to understand if this content is big enough for the media owner. Is this the biggest thing they want to do? Because see, the media owner wants the consumers. We are wanting them because they have the consumers. So it is important to try and understand what they want. So if they say that this is my biggest content, then I want to work together with you to make that content big. The brand is a separate story, because if that content really works and we are working hand in hand with you, the byproduct is people will buy our products. Anyway, that would happen. And in the case of Cruel Men, that's exactly what happened.
I think we look forward to many more strongmans coming with a great brand association, the ethical group.
Yeah, of course. We're working on another program now that we started this live show that was with Media Prima. We just brought back One in a Million after 15 years, and we're working very closely with them as well. So you would see that this coming in auditions, and that would start coming on air in a couple of weeks' time as well.
Oh, great. I'm looking forward to that. Sure. Your competitor has just released an AI commercial. Means how good or bad it is, I don't know. Means we'll figure it out when we watch it. How do you think AI is going to be affecting your creative content strategy in the future?
Okay, so it is going to, for example, today it is the right language to use, right? So just when crypto came out, okay, as long as it did something with something that says AI today, consumers would gravitate. Um, has the industry gone, into making the best use of AI? Maybe not yet, but it will soon get there. But as far as we're concerned, we think that our agency partners, creative agencies, creative entities, they will begin to start using AI a lot better, and therefore the product that we are going to get as a result would improve with better cost efficiency. This is the thinking, at least from a creative standpoint.
That's the way to go, because again, it'll be one much more refined content or creative will be coming out with help.
Yeah, and on the small items, like a poster, PTL materials, the production of or the creative cost of making one of these would also significantly reduce. So having an in-house person to do all this would probably make sense. When people sort of get a hang out of it.
Great, and that brings us to the end of the show. And thank you so much, Ruben, for coming and spending time and giving such creative insights into brand and content and how you're trying to marry the both in the right way possible. Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me. Really, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
That was Ruben, a brand leader like no other. With brands competing for consumer attention across every screen and platform, how will companies like Ethica tell their brand story effectively? Only time will tell. Thanks for watching, and until the next episode, keep stewing.